Okay guys, welcome back to another episode of our Tetris game. Today is episode 3. Today we're going to be working on setting up the data structure of of the way we're going to kind of like position all the blocks into the letters that they will represent. And then we will have a look here and see what's on the plan. Now that's pretty much it. Today we're just going to be I don't think we're going to be finishing it today. We're just going to set up the different classes. We're going to create, I think, about 3 different scripts for them, and then we'll go and import some data from GitHub from another project, and then we will create another script where we will create an enum and then a data structure, and then we will create another script that will use as a draw script to create an array that will house all of our different letters that will make up our shapes. So let's jump into our display here and see what's happening. So this is exactly where we left off with, in the previous episode. Haven't done anything different. You can see if we select a shape, we can actually draw the squares, or we can fill in our grid over here. So our shapes, or we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 different colors, but we only going to use the gray as a ghost block. So that's going to display later on, probably like a, what's it called? How do I say this? It's gonna, when your shape, so say, let's draw this. So say for example, this shape here is currently moving down the grid. We are going to use this ghost cube, square, whatever it's called, to kind of predict where and what it's going to look like in the game. So say for example, if let's just draw a few squares here. Say our board currently looks like this, like that, with all of this like this kind of, and then we have this square, or this L shape over here coming down the board. What our ghost square is going to do is going to draw a little, like a ghost, kind of like a preview of if you leave the shape falling down in that column, it's going to land up over there. So that's what our ghost will eventually do. Hopefully we can get that working. But for now, let's go and start working on our data. So if we go into our assets folder here, let's create a new folder, and this is going to be called scripts. And in here we need to create a new script called, we are going to call this tetromino. So that's what our shapes are actually called. So let's pull this up. So if you look here, just make this smaller, the shapes that are made out of 4 different squares are actually called tetrominos. So if you look at this shape here, all the different letters are all made out of 4 identical colored squares. So the 4 squares form a tetromino, if that makes sense. So that is why we are going to call our script tetromino. So let's open that up and we can start building stuff in, or typing stuff rather. That's going to pop up here somewhere. So let's go and do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a screenshot of what we need to do. So we're going to be using an enum to represent a list of all our different that's such a hard word to say, tetrominos. So let's go back into our script here, and we can probably get rid of all of this. I think if we need it, we'll bring it back. So what we're going to do is we want to create an enum, and what an enum is, it's pretty much like an enumerated list of values. So what this is going to do, it's going to hold our list of the different shapes. So let's go get rid of, how do you get rid of the source? But anyway, so in here we are going to create a public enum, and this is going to be called tetromino, if I can spell it correctly, like that. And then in here all we need to do is we need to have a list of the different shapes that we are going to create, and those shapes are going to be let's just pull that up because I can't remember all of them. So we are going to have all of these. So these are going, where's it gone? What do I do? So if we make this smaller, so these are all the different letters that we need. So let's bring this over here. That's not what we need. We need it in here. Let's bring that out. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to pretty much just represent all of our letters in like a list. So we can type, the first one will be O, then the next one will be I. It doesn't really matter what order you put them in, but we'll just go according to this order. So S, Z. What's the next one? The next one is going to be L. The next one, do we need a J? Let's leave J out for now, just because it's pretty much the same as L, just rotated. So we'll leave that like that for now. So we'll have these 6. Oh, we haven't seen one. I, O. Actually, we'll go and include J, just because why not? The more, the better. So T and J. Cool. So we'll save that, and then we can probably get rid of that because we don't need it anymore. So now, what's next on the list? Now we've got our enum here, that's fine. Just make sure I spelled that right. Tetromino. Okay, cool, that's fine. So now let's just tick some things up. Define custom enum. Now we need to create a data structure so that we can actually see the stuff in the inspector and see. I can show you how it's going to work. So here we'll create a public data structure. This we will call tetromino data, I think. No data, like that. And then in here we're going to need a few things. First off, we're going to need some way of telling the data which shape it's going to produce, and to do that this is where the enum comes into play. Here we are going to represent that by saying public tetromino. So when you see in the inspector just now, because this is public, we will be able to go into a drop-down list and pick which letter we want to represent. And then what we also want to do is we want to tell it which tile to represent. So in our game that we are going to create, we are going to assign a square, one of those square colors, to each letter. So each letter will only be made up of that colored square. You could probably do it random, or you could probably make it random if you wanted to, but just for getting this game done, we're just going to assign it a single colored square. So let's go and do this. So here we need to say public tile. That's how you spell tile. So this is going to be an error because we need to import that here. So here we need to import using Unity engine.tile maps. So that should give us access to the tile. So now if we save that and go into our editor here, we should be able to see, where is it? to us. Okay, so first of all we need to go and put this. Actually, no, we don't. We won't see that yet because we haven't done anything to. We haven't added it to the board. So on our board, we want to go and create a new script. Actually, I'm going to do this in our scripts folder just so that we don't have to move it in here. So here we will call this our board script, and then obviously on our board we want to go and add this straight onto it. So we'll add that onto there. So now when we call this data structure in our board script, we'll be able to see it here in the inspector, and that's where we'll be able to assign the different colored tiles, and eventually you will be able to tell it where to position the tiles. So we will need to go and open that script. So let's go open this one. And for this one, we will need to open this one, and this is pretty much just one line of code, so that's pretty much the entire line. So let's go and do that. So in our board script here, we can go and get rid of all of this, because we don't need that. At least for now, we don't. So in here, all we want to say is close that off first. So in here, all we want to say is we want to have a public. What's it going to be? This is going to be a tetromino data, actually. It's going to be an array of tetromino data. So here we can say tetromino data, and then this we can pretty much just say tetromino, just like that. So we'll save that, and then save that. So now when we go back into our inspector, we should be able to see we should be able to see it in the script, which we don't, and that is because we need to serialize this, because Unity doesn't really know how to display this. So let's go and say I can't remember how to do this. What is it called? I think it's just serialize. Let's go and say serialize system dot serializable, like that. There we go. So now that should pop up in here in our board script. We should be able to see that. So here, so because we have, how many letters do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we have 7 different tetrominos that we are going to display in our game eventually. That's just going to be the different letters. So let's go and type in 7 over here, so we get 7 in our list. So now we can expand this, and now you can see that we have 7 elements ranging from 0 to 6, and if we expand these, you should be able to see they are all the same. And you are now able to pick which tetromino you want to display, or you want to assign to that element. So let's go do this. The first one will have O, the second one will have I, next one S, just make it all the way down the line. So S, L, T, and then J. Cool. So what do I do? Okay, so now I do believe that these tetrominos do have an assigned color, but in our so if you look over here, let's bring this up again while I keep coding it. So the shapes actually have their own color. So you can see all the squares are yellow. So this square is yellow, that square is yellow, and that square is yellow, and then the L is kind of like an orangey color. The S, or the Z rather, is a... Do we have an S and a Z? We do. So the Z is a green color. That one's kind of formed differently. And the S is red. And then, yeah, so on. But you don't really have to do that. In fact, I think we're just going to do it randomly. So let us just go and assign them random tiles. So the O we will assign a yellow one. That the I will assign dark blue. the S we will assign the orange one. Do we have enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we do. Okay, so Z we will go and assign the green one. Some of them might be correct. Can't remember. What is this one? The L will assign the red one. For the T we'll assign the purple one. And then for the J we will assign whichever one's left. The cyan one, I think. So cyan, purple, red, green, orange, blue, yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then obviously we have our ghost that we are not using at the moment. Okay, so let us go and see what's next. So if we go and tick this off, we've done that. Okay, so now we can create another public field here, because this is going to be a way of telling where our shape should be to make up the to make up the actual letter. So here we need to say it's going to be public again, but this time it is going to be an array, a 2D array. So here we are going to say public vector. We need to import this, so let's go and say using Unity engine. So now we should be able to access our vector2 int, and this is going to be an array, and we'll call this cells, I think. So if we say that and we go back into here, we should be able to see now each element has a cells array. So here let's assign this 4, because obviously our blocks are made out of, or our shapes are made out of 4 squares. So in here, this is pretty much where you can customize your shape. If you want to make custom shapes, you just assign the position of the shape or of the square that you want, or where you want it to be, so that it makes up the shape you want. We're not going to do that. We are going to have a predefined set of data that will tell our cells or our shapes or squares, whatever they're called, where to put them. Just because we're not going to be creating any custom shapes, and because we don't really want to go and manually put in the positions of the squares. So what we're going to do is we are going to go and get this data. First of all, let's go and create another script. So in our scripts folder here, we'll create another C# script and call this data. Then we'll open that up, and for this I am going to use some of the data from a different project. So what we can do, we can first of all go and get rid of all of this, because we don't want this. We probably don't need that as well. Actually, maybe we might need using I think it's the Unity engine. And then what we want to do is we want to get rid of mono behavior, because we're not going to use that. And then we will need to make this a static class, because we are not going to instantiate this, and we want to be able to access this from anywhere, whenever. So in our data class, this is where we are going to hold a bunch of different data, and the first data that we're going to bring in is the position of where we want all of the all of the squares to sit, so that it makes up this shape. So this is what we want. So we have a potential issue here, so we need to go in and import the generics. So we'll go and do that. So this is pretty much a dictionary of vector2 integers, and that pretty much just tells you, or tells the editor or the game, where it should position the squares so that it makes up the shapes. So as you can see, we have all of our different tetrominoes. So we have the I, the J, the L, the O, the S, the T, and the Z. And then next to it we have an array, and we have the different positions. So let us go and save that and jump back into here and see what is next on the list. So we can go and take that off, we can go and take that off, and I think, to be honest, that is pretty much it for our checklist. Create an array of tetromino data in the forward script. Okay, so we've done that, but what we want to do is we want to, because, where is it, in our script here, on our board, for our elements you can see that we have these cells, and obviously now that we have imported our data in our data class here, we don't really need it to be seen in the inspector because we're not going to be randomly assigning these to make custom shapes. So in this case we can go and change this, where is it, in our tetromino class. And to do that, we can go and say, we can get rid of the semicolon, and here we can simply say we want to have a get and a private set. So that should now get rid of that, which it does, which is fine. And then we are going to, in the next episode, we are going, where's it gone? Let's save that quick and then just play the game quick. Nothing's going to happen. You won't see any difference, but let's just play the game so that we see we don't get any errors. So that's perfectly fine. So that's pretty much it for today's episode. I know we didn't really see much visual effect happening in the actual game. It was all code based in today's episode. But in tomorrow's episode, I think we will start working on actually seeing some of these shapes come into the game and try and instantiate them into the game so we can see if it works. But that's pretty much it for today's episode again, so thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you in the next episode where we will get some shapes on them.